Hi there, it's Ron Gula from Gula Tech Adventures. Today we're going to be talking about product and service companies from the point of view of an entrepreneur who's starting their first company. I always get asked, what type of company should I start? And typically what the entrepreneur is referring to is, should they start a product company or a service company? A product company is a company that makes a widget, a piece of software, and a service company is typically a company where you are retaining the services of a person for training, for doing some sort of consulting, for doing some sort of IT configuration and whatnot. So there's some differences in these companies. The first difference I'd like to kind of point out is the startup cost. If you are starting a product company, you got to build the product first. That means you need to hire engineers, researchers, maybe product document. You got to build the product. You got to ship it before you can even charge your first dollar from your first customer. Whereas a services company, if you're an expert and you hire a couple other experts, you can start delivering that expertise almost immediately. So the startup costs for product companies and services companies are completely different. Now, product companies need to keep an inventory. I guess you could argue that, services companies, you have to keep an inventory of people as well. But for the most part, if you're building a widget, something physical like a flipper, you got to keep an inventory of that. And with 2023 supply chains not being what they are, that could be an issue, unless you're, of course, doing software. So typically for software companies, like most cybersecurity companies that are out there, there's no inventory problems. And I still see issues with provisioning customers and weird things that can limit the amount of things for delivering a service. But for the most part, there's no inventory for cybersecurity companies. Now, another big difference between a product company and a services company is valuation. If you think about how much money your company could make, what are the limits of that? Well, if you're a services company, it's pretty much a limitation of the number of people that you have working for you. Almost every services company, when I talk to a CEO or founder there, they're looking for people. That's right, because the more people they have, the more customers they can support. And even if people have a specialized skill, there's still a limitation in those people. Whereas with product companies, if you have 5 customers today and you play your cards right, you got your go-to-market right, and you get 100 customers tomorrow, that you can just sell it to them. You can just download that software. There's no limitation to that. And because of that, there's typically more upside. Now, rules of thumb are always kind of odd from industry to industry, but in cyber, if you had $1 million services company doing services revenue with just people, it might be worth $2 to $3 million for an acquiring company or a particular potential investor. That same product company could be worth 6 times to 20 times as much. Really depends on the market and how valuable that software, that desirable is for those customers that they have. Now, what really kind of makes things a little bit more confusing is this concept of software as a service. I just spent the last part of this video explaining that there's product companies that sell software and there's services companies that deliver people. But what happens when you deliver your technology, your product as a service? Well, right now, this is the favored way of delivering software. If we go back 15, 20 years, it used to be that you would buy a product and then you would pay maintenance on it. Maybe if you bought a product for $1, maybe the maintenance was 10 cents, 20 cents, that sort of thing. You do that every year. But what happened, since software became so demanding and that people wanted more and more features and nobody wanted to upgrade, you actually got the features as part of your service. And then the internet happened where you could actually deliver your software with a web-based experience over the internet, real-time 24/7. These are typically called SaaS companies. Now, there's some differences in these SaaS companies. If I'm starting a company and I'm managing somebody else's product, maybe like an EDR agent, I have to pay for that EDR agent and then charge some sort of upsell on top of that. Whereas if I'm the EDR vendor and I'm selling that product to an end customer, it's my product. I can charge whatever I want. I keep all the profit. So not all SaaS services are created the same. The latter, where I'm managing somebody else's product, it does track some time like a services company. But if you add enough of your own technology and your own services on top of that, you might actually get product valuations. In today's day and age, where almost every EDR looks like an MDR, and if that's too much cyber stuff, you have endpoint detection and response, you have managed detection and response out there. A lot of those companies, those iconic companies that are out there in 2023 have similar valuations. Now, As far as the debate of what company should somebody start when they are creating their first company, there's a lot in common. Services companies and product companies all have these things in common: recruiting, marketing, payroll, obtaining customers, managing technology, just planning and running a business. And if it's your first time out, maybe you should start a services company, because maybe you can actually do a good job with those customers and get all of that sort of muscle memory of running a business, starting a business, incorporating, and so on. And then do a product company when you have an idea that you're confident enough that people will want and that you won't have to be there for them to use. All right, good luck on your entrepreneurial journey, startup. I'm Ron Gula. If you want more videos like this, check us out on this YouTube channel here, or visit us over at gula.tech, or follow us on LinkedIn. Have a great day.